Hello, career thought leaders. We're happy to see you today. And we have Denise Bittler with us. Denise, say hello. How are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about LinkedIn and how do we find the right keywords to help our clients get found in LinkedIn. And Denise, you just were recently working on this for a presentation, and then you and I were chatting about how it's not as easy as it used to be to find the right keywords for LinkedIn. But tell us a little bit what you're writing LinkedIn profiles. What do you do for clients?
So for LinkedIn, it's the whole package. It's the headline. It's a custom banner background, which again can include keywords. It's the about section, which is the keywords woven into a story. You've heard me say this before. I like to say your resume is your what, your LinkedIn is your what and your who. So it's weaving it in through there. But as you said, you and I have had these conversations about finding those keywords. What keywords are they looking for? And there's been so many different tools. LinkedIn had Career Explorer, which is still helpful, but it's not the most up to date, especially for tech type roles. We were just playing around a little bit, you and I, yesterday with this, and for more standard type roles, accountant or things like that, then Career Explorer is probably an excellent tool. But if it's a tech role, maybe not, because it's not going to cover things like AI, generative AI, any of those types of skills that are evolving almost on a daily basis.
Yeah. So let's take just a little peek at Explorer, because I have found that there's still some people that don't know about it. It's like frustrating now that it's out of date and people are still just finding it. So Career Explorer was made to help people find career shifts. So which career is similar to which career. But I've always used it as kind of a keyword research tool, and especially a title research tool, because if you scroll down to the bottom, and you kind of have to scroll a lot, and you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And then you get to this place where they had gathered the data from LinkedIn profiles and put it together and said, okay, these are the most common skills for this job. And the default one that always shows up is food server, but we could put in something like, well, let's just do our example. So if we're going to do like director of software engineering, the first thing that I forgot to point out is that as you're typing the title, as you're typing the title, it brings up other suggested titles, which is really powerful when you're thinking about what title to put in the title field. You want to use one that people would actually be searching for. And so this is a good way to test, especially as you're saying, Denise, for less technology disrupted fields. If you're working in software development, it might not actually be the best, but it kind of depends on what you're doing and how much these new technologies have gone in. But we could look at a director of software job, and then it lists all the skills that I need for that job. But Denise, we noticed that something is missing from these lists of skills, right?
Yeah. Anything related to AI, generative AI, anything like that is missing completely. But that being said, that doesn't mean that the skills that are on here aren't still valid skills and required skills. So I think the main point with this is, especially in the technical roles, is look at it, use it, because again, most of these skills are still required, but don't rely on this as the be all and end all, because it is not going to have those, ever changing new skills that are popping up almost on a daily basis. One thing I wanted to point out, Marie, if you could go, if
Oh,
you could
that's right.
go back to that screen,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I've found extremely helpful for my clients, especially if they're looking to advance in their career. So if you go up and instead of director of software, just pick a lower level type role. So
Software analyst.
perfect. All right. Now, If you go, you have your list of skills, but if you go to your right, you've got the comparables. And if you scroll down with those comparables, there's going to be some uh, lateral type roles, but there's also going to be some higher level roles. So it could be an engineer, it could be a manager. So always look at those slightly higher level jobs and see what those skills to build are. Because if you have those skills, you may not have that higher level title yet, but if you've got those skills, make sure you're putting them in. So if a recruiter is sourcing for those skills, for looking for a software engineer or a manager or whatever, you may not have that title yet, but if you've got those skills in there, you have the possibility of being found when they're sourcing for candidates. So don't just limit yourself to the skills that are at the title that you're at. Always be looking at that next level up or that transitional type role and incorporating any of those skills as well that you have.
Yeah, I think the product owner one here does a good job of,
Mhm.
some of those project management, product management type skills if you wanted to take a step up, which this might be 2 steps up depending on what the company's looking at.
Mhm.
But like you said, you can look at either any of those skills and some of these links to LinkedIn learning,
Mhm.
sessions, and then it also, shows some of the skills down here in the little green
Yep.
dots, and then,
That Find
there's just
Connections, did you see that Find Connections? It's the
oh,
right
yeah.
here. That is phenomenal. If you are looking to network, it's a great way to see who in your network might already have that title.
Yep.
So for whether it's informational interviews or whether it's making connections that can introduce you to somebody, that's another great way to work on the networking side of it.
Yep. Yeah, and to look at so I usually have my clients go in and put any title they think is relevant for them, and they would copy all the skills out, put them in a Excel spreadsheet, go through and eliminate any duplicates, and then eliminate anything that just isn't true, right? We don't wanna put in skills that aren't true, and then they can go into their skills section of LinkedIn, make sure they get the skills in there, but then, of course, we're weaving them into the profile, which we'll get to in a minute. So then the other thing we were looking at is that if we do the skill search on LinkedIn, we get the a LinkedIn Explorer, which I did put in the chat, but if you weren't here earlier, it's this LinkedIn Explorer link. That's where we were just looking at the titles and the skills. So then the other thing that we went to was if you have a premium LinkedIn, and this only is if you have a premium LinkedIn, that you can compare your resume to a job title. And so I'll bring up my thing here in just a second. Find the right buttons. Buttons, where did you go? There we go. Okay. Um, so if you are in LinkedIn, anywhere in LinkedIn on the homepage, you just use a little jobs button, and that little jobs button will take you into this area where obviously you can look at jobs. But then this does require a premium account. There is a free version, but we're going to look at the challenges with it here in just a second. So I can pick any of my resumes. Some of them are already connected to a job, and it will give me the skills that I have and the skills that I don't have for that job. So I could see, yes, I've added these ones in my resume. I could check LinkedIn profile too. And then these are some of the ones that they're recommending I add, and I could add those to LinkedIn as well. Now, we were doing this a little bit differently the other day that we had searched for I think, yeah, I'd searched for a generative AI position. And then I can go into the position and it shows me this is again only with the paid account. We'll talk about the pros and cons and if you really need it here in a second. But it shows me the skills that I have and then the skills that are missing. But these free ones are all very fluffy, we
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not very technical. They're generic. They could apply to anybody for the most part.
And most likely a recruiter's not going to be searching for communication, right? I'm going to pull up hundreds of applicants. And so then we looked, I just want to see if you could see this. So then we
Mhm.
did the little pop-up, which shows you all the skills. And there's only like one hard skill in their whole free list. So this list is the one you could, I think, get for free. Um, but then when we got down to the skills among applicants, those seemed a lot more relevant.
And they're comparable because then you're actually comparing yourself against other people who are applying for the position. So yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment on on the additional skills part for the free version, or that you didn't have to have the paid version for.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if you get a free month or if you want to pay for it for a month for your job seekers, or if you are a career professional and you do this a lot, it might be worth it for you to pay to be able to do this for your clients, do this competitive analysis with a paid LinkedIn account. But to me, the valuable piece is the skills among other applicants, and that you do have to pay for. So I'm not usually a huge fan of advocating for paying for LinkedIn, but I do like this piece of it for the more up-to-date competitive skills than what you can get in a lot of their free stuff. Do you
And the
use
other
this at
thing,
all when you're helping clients?
I use it all the time. I use it as part of a number of different things I do. I have certain prompts that I'll go out and I'll which I think we're going to talk about. But yes, I do use this, and I use Career Explorer, and I use all the different pieces. But just to quickly get back to the paid versus not paid, is if you are a career service provider and you do have the premium version, the paid premium version, you normally have the opportunity to gift 2 free months to someone. And I think I want to say I get like 10 a quarter or something. So what I do with my clients is anybody can get a free month. I can gift them a second free month because of having the premium. That is something that is it works well for me, and it's a differentiator for me versus some other career service providers. It's something I can provide that's not costing me anything more, but is very valuable. So if you do have the paid version, start looking at that as whether or not that you want to potentially gift that, I say gifted with air quotes, to your clients as a way to differentiate your services.
Yeah, and I'll just answer Jean. So Jean, here I'm just in the jobs. So I went to jobs and then I just searched for a job, and I just searched for generative AI because it's a new one, to see what kind of skills it suggested for us. And then when I scroll down on the job description side, that's where I get to the how do you match with the skills that I have, the skills that are missing. And then if I click on this show all skills, it will show me all the skills that LinkedIn suggests, which are very fluffy, and then the skills among other applicants. And this is where you start to see like artificial intelligence come in as a suggested skill. So
And what's
that's
nice is you can just add them right from here. You don't have to write these down. You can click add, and it's going to take you right to your skills section in your profile
whoop
where you
whoop.
can
So
just
I
add it
clicked on
right there.
artificial intelligence and it lets me add that. Where do I want to add it? So it lets me do that, and I can add it right to my profile from there. I should add that one. So we'll do that. Okay. So that's the LinkedIn features, the free one with the Explorer, and then this paid one with the premium. And again, you do get some visibility to the skills for free, but not much. You do get some visibility when you go through the resume feature, clicking on jobs again at the top and then clicking on the resume feature. You do get some insights for free if you upload a resume. And when you upload a resume, it asks you to connect it to the job title. I already did that. So you're just seeing how it connects to the job title. So you get some of that for free, not as much as you're seeing here, but you don't get the skills of other applicants for free. So that might just be something you think about and test out and see if it's worth the LinkedIn cost, if that's what you want to do. So Denise, the other way that we can get these keywords, of course, is from job descriptions. What do you do to help people get all of those job descriptions together?
So one of the main prompts that I use is one that creates a chart. And it's what's great about it is I can put in as many job postings as I want. I can go in and I can say, you know, compare these 6 job descriptions. And now I want you to create a chart. I like the visual of a chart. And it allows you to then have it pick the top 15 skills. So instead of just taking one job posting for software engineer, I can take 5 or 6 different job postings, because every job posting is going to be slightly different. And this will allow me to then create a chart that compares and does the top 15 skills on each of them. And then it will actually mark in the chart, yes, this job posting has this one has this one. I can then say, okay, now take my resume and identify if any skills are the skills that are there or if they're missing. I can then quantify and say, okay, this skill was on 6 of the 6. This one was on 3. I can sort it and say, okay, these are the top 10 based on how many job postings it shows in. I can then even take it a step further to say, okay, now help me weave those skills into the resume. So I see you have the sandbox up there. This is a prompt. I don't know if it's in the prompt library yet, because I actually just took it a step further. With now it has 5 steps in the prompt. So we'll be adding that to the sandbox as well.
So this is an AI tool that she's using. She's using ChatGPT, I think, is the best at this. Gemini screws up the charts. I think ChatGPT is the best one to do this. So you're putting in a prompt that says, I'm going to paste in 5 job descriptions. From those 5 job descriptions, analyze it, find the best keywords, put those keywords into a chart for me.
Yep. Would you like me to share the?
Sure.
Okay.
This is Denise's first time sharing her screen on StreamYard, so hold on.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Give her a minute. If you have a question, drop it in. Ooh, someone asked a question about would you upload your clients' resumes to your account? I have on occasion uploaded a client's resume to my account, and then it asks you what job title you want to connect that resume to it. And I think it kind of keeps it separate from your profile. It's not really looking at your profile, it's just looking at the resume. So I have done that where I've uploaded a client's resume into my LinkedIn account with, then hitting it to their job title so that I could do that analysis. You could also show them how to do it, but you might want to play around with it yourself a little bit first.
Yeah, and I've done that because it's not going anywhere. All right, for some reason, I don't know why it's not letting me. I'm saying I have to connect to comment, which is very strange. And I did connect and it didn't work.
Interesting. Well, we will drop the prompt for those of you that put in a comment. We'll send you the prompt. If you're in the sandbox, Denise, maybe we'll add that prompt to our sandbox for June 12th. We do office hours every month in our sandbox. So we can add that to our sandbox. And then, of course, if you wanted to join us, we are doing a full session on June 5th, where we're going to take you through from getting the content and the questions that we ask. Denise and I kind of ask different questions. So you get all the questions that we ask. Then how could you put that together and have AI help you write the profile? But it's not going to do all the writing for you. It's actually going to use your client stories that you get from the questions that you ask. So we're going to go through all of those next time. But the idea of the prompt, and you've done this, you put a little bit in the chat.
Yeah,
so
sorry,
I don't know that everyone
I did put it in there. So unfortunately, it's spread it over 5. So if you're going to do it, you have to copy and paste out of 5 comments. Um,
Well, or you can drop me a link or
yeah,
drop me a note and we'll send it to you if you're not in the sandbox. If you're in the sandbox, we'll send you the link so that you can find it in the sandbox and
yes.
kind of get connected to that. But I just love this idea, Denise, because we're taking multiple job descriptions, which I've always been a proponent of. You want to
Mhm.
take, 3 to 5 job descriptions for your clients so that you're getting that representative sample. But then the other thing that you said is that you're comparing their profile to the keywords and asking it for gaps. You're not
Mhm.
necessarily having AI put those keywords into your profiles.
No, so I'm asking it after the gaps, it identifies it. I ask it to suggest enhancements to the existing, um, that showcase transferable skills or maybe unmentioned achievements. Or so it's not just identifying the gaps, but it's giving some ideas. It's not rewriting the resume, but it's giving some ideas on things that you could maybe didn't think about that you did. It could be giving you ideas on things that you can quantify that maybe you didn't quantify. So it's not rewriting it. The last prompt that's there is really helping you, one, identify the gaps and get some ideas on what to do about the gaps.
Yeah. And then Jean said, do you have your clients send you the job descriptions? And I say always, because if I go find them, it might be not right. I want the client to send them to me so that it's starting with their focus from the beginning and I'm not over in left field somewhere, even if I don't think that I am. I just prefer that the client send those to me so that I know we're on target.
The other thing that this is helpful for is if you have a client that's a little scattered, but they swear they're not scattered. You tell them it needs to be targeted, and they're like, "Well, it is." And then they send you these 5 different job postings, and you're like, "Yeah, no, it's not targeted," but they still think it is. This is a great tool to prove to them that it's not. They're not being targeted when they have 5 job postings and there's no overlap whatsoever of the skills. So it's a great visual as an education as well, if need be.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we did in terms of finding LinkedIn keywords the other day was just did a chat GPT for what are the top skills or what are the trending skills. Let me find my prompt that I use. Very simple prompt. What skills are trending on job descriptions for software development? It's very simple, but it brought us to some articles that talked about the skills that are trending. And LinkedIn posts a lot of skill articles, but we looked through some of them and they're just all pretty fluffy, which, I know that soft skills are important, but when you're looking at getting found by a recruiter on LinkedIn, they're not going to search by soft skills. They're going to filter first by the hard skills. And if your clients don't have those in their profiles, they're never going to make it to that soft skill round.
And the,
So we just put in that very basic prompt and it gave us a great synopsis. And well, actually, I can bring it up because I can do that. Let me do that.
while you're doing that, Marie, I just want to point out to everybody that all of these things that we're doing off of LinkedIn, so these prompts and everything else we're running, it is not necessarily pulling the skills exactly as they're worded in LinkedIn. So when you get this list, you don't want to just take this list and run with it. You want to look at the list and type in, XYZ from your list into the skills section on LinkedIn and see what comes up in the drop down. Because you always want to make sure that you're only entering skills that are already in the drop down, because those are the skills that recruiters are sourcing off of. If you go in and you put in, flower arranging with, pecan nuts. I don't know. Um, that's not, that's not something that they're sourcing on, but flower arranging or flower arrangement, maybe it is. So make sure that when this prompt is phenomenal for getting you started, but you are going to have to potentially tweak some of those skills to be the exact matches that show up in the drop down, the skills drop down in LinkedIn.
Okay, so let's do a case study here since people are asking. So we did that prompt of what skills are trending on job descriptions for software development, and it gave us a good start. Maybe not anything we didn't know, but just a good start. So I could take this AI and machine learning, so artificial intelligence and machine learning, cybersecurity, cloud computing. You remember those, Denise,
Mhm.
and spit them back to me here. I'm going to head over to LinkedIn. So if I go to LinkedIn in the profile section, and I'm going to enter in some of these things. So let me go to my profile here on LinkedIn, and I'm just going to go to the skills section. Obviously, you would want these skills in other places, but it's easiest to start in the skills section. So I'm going to go down, hopefully find the skills section. There we go. So I'm going to edit my skills section. I'm going to add a skill. Let's see. So now you can have 100 skills. So I'm going to start typing like AI
Mhm.
and see what comes up. Artificial intelligence. So this is what we mean by choosing from the drop down. So there's this thing that there's 37,000 skills on LinkedIn. And I dug deep and found this GitHub link where you could download all the skills. But the problem is it isn't updated and it's a pain. So this is
Mhm.
really the best way to do it. You come in here, you start typing, okay, artificial intelligence. I can add that skill, which is interesting because I just did that a minute ago and it's letting me add it again. That's all right. I'll come back and figure that out later. Then I could
There
say,
you
okay, I
go.
want
You see it, Marie? It says the skill's already on your
oh,
profile.
excellent.
It's a pain in the neck.
Lovely.
It doesn't tell you that until you actually hit save. So
Okay, so let's come in here. We'll do a new one. So we also had machine learning on that list. So I start to type, and then I want to pick machine learning. I'm not going to pick that because I don't have that skill. And I might look through and just see if there's anything else related to that. Then it had cyber security. So here I might choose cybersecurity. I might choose cybersecurity tools. So those ones would give me some other suggestions besides just the Google list that we found, or even a job description list that we found. And depending on your person, they might go through and just click, 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 add all these, or maybe they have a piece of paper or a Excel sheet open and they're, typing in the ones that they want to come back and add, whatever is your client's process, but you're using the drop down to define those skills, not just putting in what you find online. You want to find the ones that match up to what is in LinkedIn's database, which you can do by starting to type in the word and seeing that drop down. What else did I miss there, or anything else you'd add there?
no, I think that's it. But there were a couple questions. Um, bear with me. Do you know, Betsy's asking, do you know what percentage of jobs are filled by recruiters finding people on LinkedIn? The last statistics I saw, Marie, you may know something more recent, but was that up to 40% of jobs could be filled by people that aren't applying, meaning whether recruiters are finding them on LinkedIn, sourcing on LinkedIn, or on other platforms. But they're saying that the last one I saw, which is probably at least 2 years old now, it was about 40%. And then Melissa's asking, how many skills are too many? It drives me nuts, 100 skills when I'm working with a client. But from a sourcing perspective, it's that many more chances of being found. So when Marie was looking at those skills, so if you're looking at AI, well, there's artificial intelligence, there's generative AI, so there could be like 15 versions of skills for one word or one category. So in that aspect, yeah, having 100 skills is pretty good because you don't know if they're searching on generative AI or artificial intelligence or some other variation of it. So it may be worthwhile um, picking multiple variations, especially for some of those really technical skills and the newer skills.
Yeah, we're not going to, I don't, we'll maybe get to that resume question, but LinkedIn, the other piece I want to talk about is these top skills. So I was talking to a technical executive, and in this top skills section, he had like communication and very low level stuff. So I would just say to pay attention to that. Most clients aren't paying attention to these top skills right under the about, and they're very in your face. They got the little diamond and they're standing out there. So be careful about those and making sure those top 5, you can only choose 5 there, making sure those top 5 are strategically aligned. And then also in your experience sections, you can add skills. And I'd be careful there, Melissa, when you're asking how many skills are too many. I don't think you want dozens of skills here. I'd say maybe 15, because when you start to have too many, it just kind of loses its purpose. So I would put the ones here that really matter, and those you connect with those little click boxes where I was connecting that I had the skill in that section. But this is what they see on the other end is the skill and then where you have it. So I think there is a too many when you get to connecting them to the job. You really want the ones that make the most difference. And I'm going to go in and see if you can reorder those or something, or play around with them at all. Because artificial intelligence, while it's something that we talk about in careers work, it's not really my top skill for this kind of work. So I want to go in and see if I can move those around, or if unchecking a box and checking a box move that skill to the front. I want to pay attention to the order as well as what
You
each
can
job.
drag them.
Yeah. Okay,
You can
perfect.
drag them. Yeah, so if you
Is that
scroll,
in per job?
yeah, but
I
so
know
click
you
on
can do it.
the pencil for a particular job, and then scroll to the bottom.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
See how they have those little 3 lines next to
right.
them? Yeah.
Yeah, so I can move things around. Perfect. So you
Mhm.
want to think about all of that, just like we do on a resume. What's at the top is going to get the most visibility. So you want to think about all of that. Um,
And Marie, can I try and see if present works for me now? Just so,
sure,
'cause
sure. Let me
we're
stop.
asking about
There we go.
this. Let's see, share screen. Let's
So
see.
Betsy, Denise wasn't saying that 40% of jobs are filled by recruiters. She was saying that 40% of jobs are filled by non-applicants. So by a recruiter going out and finding someone. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're using LinkedIn. And it doesn't mean, yeah. So the numbers all get a little funky because of the different way you can say things that are all true. So 70% of jobs found through networking usually means that 70% of people are hired because someone knew someone somewhere along the way. That's how they found out about the job, or that's why they were hired, is because they were a referral. But that wouldn't preclude it from also being someone that the recruiter found, not who applied, but through a referral. So those two things could actually be the same thing. Someone could be hired off of LinkedIn by a recruiter and also be hired through networking. So they're not mutually exclusive.
So can you see it? Are you seeing my screen or
No.
no? It says it is.
Oh,
there it is. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So this is the results. So you see the skills listed here. You have the companies across the top. Unfortunately, I have to scroll to the bottom of it to get to the button that lets me move over. So basically, I had all the skills down the left. I have all the job postings here. I have my current resume, and then I've counted and then sorted by the top job postings, like how many of the job postings did this particular skill appear in. And I can sort it. I have it sorted. So with the multiple steps, it literally took every single job posting, identified the top 15 key skills, and then marked which of the job postings had that skill, and then compared it against the current resume.
I love it.
So
you can see which skills are most important, which are least important, which I got to say is something JobScan is not that great at, the scanner tools. So I love that these tools can help us do a lot of that for free.
Yep.
Okay, so the one other question we had was about skills and resumes, and I would just say that I'm not a huge fan of a long skill list in a resume, because they need to be embedded anyways. So if I'm going to put skills at the top of a resume, it's usually somewhere around 9 at the most. And those have to be the ones that are really connected to the job. They're at the right level. They're as differentiating as possible, because that's what you're highlighting. And then you've got to make sure the rest of the skills are in the content of the resume.
Yep.
And I've had recruiters come and present and say, oh, if you've got skills listed at the top that aren't at the level you're applying to, it's a red flag right away that you don't understand what's most important for the job. So I think being really careful with the skills in that section in the resume is important. So, well, Denise, I can't wait. So Denise and I we're getting together. We're finishing up our thing for June 5th. If you want to join us on the afternoon of June 5th, we're going to be going through the LinkedIn profile writing process. We'll talk a little bit more about this keyword research. We're going to talk about using AI to help you write and analyze and all of those things, as well as the human questions that we ask to get the great stories that make these LinkedIn profiles come to life. And Denise, I'm really excited to present with you because you've been doing a lot of work in this area. And you just bring in some phenomenal tools to our sandbox and to our practitioners. So thank you for that.
Good thing I like to go down a rabbit hole.
Yes. And we will go down the rabbit hole for you, and then we'll come back up so that when we are in our session, you get what you need and you can walk away with that. Thank you everyone for coming today. It was very fun to have all of your questions and ideas. So we'll
Marie,
send
I will email that prompt to you so that
Excellent.
you can get that out there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.